Good afternoon, everybody. And Alan, good afternoon. It's good to see you. And good afternoon, everybody that are listening to Working Lunch. I'm Peter Roper, and I'm looking forward to a bit of fun talking to you today about preserving tradition and building a legacy. We may have a few people joining us as well. We'll see how it goes. But in the meantime, Alan, good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you too. Yeah, now back, beginning to pick things up after 6 weeks. Now get
That's
back
good
into
to see you. And I do believe we've got that man, that Mr. General Disarray is joining us as well. Graham, good to see you. If you can hear us, that is. There you go. Graham, good to see you. How you doing?
I'm fine if I can get this machine to work. It's gone all funny.
Oh, well, don't worry. Yes, it's one of those days where that's happening. We've gone live, so we are streaming across Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube as we speak. And, of course, technology being technology what it is, I'm sure we'll have fun during the course of the day. But, hey, we'll blame it on something. What can we blame it on? The technology plays up again. I think it will be the fact it's November. How's that?
Yeah.
Something like that. Well, and we're going to add Tracy in here as well. Tracy's just coming in. Hey, Tracy, how you doing?
Hey, Tracy.
Good, thank you. How are you?
We're very good, thank you. We're just saying technology being what it is. We are already live on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube as we speak. But the usual bits of fun of technology being what it is. So, Tracy, we decided to blame it on November. Is that as good as anything?
Yeah, it's because I favour Mac, and unfortunately, StreamYard doesn't like Apple products.
It does like Apple products, but what it doesn't like so much is Safari. So what it is happier for you to do is to open up into a different browser, then into Chrome, and it likes you better in Chrome. It depends. Some Apple products it loves, and some it doesn't. And I still haven't got to the bottom of what that is. And I'm on a Mac now, actually. So and I've gone in on Safari. And it's fine. So it's just depending on somebody like Graham, of course, would understand and totally tell us what that's all about. Because I mean, you understand all this techie stuff, don't you, Graham? So.
Only a tiny bit, I'm afraid.
yeah, but the bit you know very well. That's the important thing, isn't it? So it's good to see you all, and I'm going to give a brief presentation on about tradition and building a legacy. And to be frank, some of this stuff you've heard me say more than once, but I think it bears repeating, particularly as we're getting towards the end of the year and the next year, because I don't know about you, but I think business trading conditions currently are challenging. And they're challenging for lots of different reasons. The time of year it is always getting to a point where people start to say, do you know what, I'll talk to you in the new year. I'll talk to you in January, which means the end of January, but before half term. I know it's always been like it and always will be like it. I think there are other things on the go, though. Obviously, all the different stuff in the news at the minute can be challenging. It's making people not make decisions about business. It's making them think about things in a different way, or putting things off, or actually, shall we just batten down the hatches a little bit? Because let's face it, some of the news that we're hearing at the moment really isn't very nice, and that's making life more awkward. Yeah, on the other hand, there are some businesses I know that are absolutely flying at the minute and haven't got enough hours in the day. And they're looking at it from a completely different perspective. And that perspective absolutely is, how do I breathe, basically. And then there's a lot of businesses right in the middle. I know we're doing all sorts of stuff at the minute to bring stuff into play for January, which I'll let everybody know about in the next few days. But we've kind of had to take a breath in the last handful of weeks to work out exactly, how to do things and make life move forward in a nice way for everybody. So I think it's challenging. I think it's there's equal amounts of excitement as well in different places. And the whole idea of this session that I thought I'd put together was just to get people to think about things in a different way. So if it's all right with you, I know I'm just looking at some comments I'm getting here as well, which is people are agreeing with what I'm saying, which is kind of nice to hear. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put a quick presentation up. I'll go through some slides briefly and talk them through, and I think perhaps we can talk them through as we normally do, if that's all right with you.
Yep.
Give me a thumbs up. Yes. Okay. Right. In that case, let's add this on to here. Can you all see the slide that says preserving tradition and building a legacy?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Good. Okay. So I'll talk it through. Maybe it's because of the age I'm at. And there'll be some truth to it. For those of you who don't know, I'm now 67, and that sort of age, you start reflecting on things more than you do when you're 20-something. And quite right, that's the way it works. But for a lot of us, building our businesses, sooner or later somebody says, but are you building a legacy? And I know with all the family businesses that I work with, and have worked with over the years, one of the key things that comes up over and over again is, well, legacy, what happens? Where does it go? What does it mean? And it really does depend on where your business is, as to how you answer those questions. Especially when you're young into a business, you are thinking about things in a very, very different way. And the outside world makes you think about this process very differently. So I want to talk about the unwavering values of our family business. And I just like that slide. I just think it's a nice picture, to be honest. But I think family businesses, and just to qualify what I mean by a family business, I know you three have heard me say this more than once, but for those that are watching this live on a live stream, to me, anybody that's running a business that have any form of partner, married or not, or been together for 3 weeks, but if you have any sort of conversation at all with each other, you've got a family business. Even if your partner has no active role in the business, they do actually have an active role in the business, if nothing else, but as a sounding board in the evening to say, how's your day been? That makes it a family business. The Institute of Family Businesses will actually say, well, it's a limited company and 25% of shareholding must be owned by the family businesses. But they would say that. Let's remember that a high percentage of businesses in this country are actually self-employed. And so therefore 80% of businesses in this country actually fit the model I'm saying to you. So what is it that drives a family business? What is it that drives our businesses forward? What is it that makes us think about preserving tradition and building a legacy? Well, that's interesting. Why has it done that? Well, forget about that slide for a minute. Well, let's think about what's going on at the minute. We've got lots of noise from governments at the minute, haven't we? And well, I just thought this picture of an elephant sums things up really, which is bless politicians, bless governments. It's fascinating how, whatever side of your political fence you may sit or not, really, they just make decisions and we have to get on with it. Would you agree, everybody? That's kind of where it is, and I think, unfortunately, the one thing governments don't do is use experience. They really don't, I believe, learn from experience. Most governments, whatever color, creed they are, whatever country you're in, really, they don't learn from experience. And unfortunately for us, with our business hats on, we have to cut through what the mistakes and challenges make. Don't get me wrong, some governments do make some good choices and make some good decisions, and I applaud those decisions. But unfortunately, it would seem that, especially as far as family businesses are concerned, we are well down the pecking order of their understanding. And that's because most governments tend to take their information from the same organizations. Those organizations tend to be led by major organizations, major corporations, and their viewpoint and their standpoint to business is really different to ours. And yet we are the majority. Well, okay, in terms of tax take, it's about 30% of the chancellor's tax take compared with corporates, maybe. But actually, we are by far the majority of business in this country. Yet, we don't get listened to that much by the governments, which means we have to do our own thing in many ways, And what we've learned, I think, is huge in the last few years. So if we go back from, how many years is it now since lockdown?
3, isn't it?
3 years. 3 years since lockdown. There is a recent survey I picked up on last week that showed conclusively that the number one thing that was missing during our life in lockdown was ladies having their hair done. What a beautiful sexist thing to say. But actually, according to this survey of over several thousand people, the number one thing that was missed in lockdown was ladies having their hair done. I can't believe that, but that's what the survey said. And I do know that some blokes definitely needed their hair doing. All right. And in my case, most of my hair went during lockdown. Is that all we actually learned? Is it really all we learned? I don't think so, really. I think down the pecking order was the fact of social interaction. And I think social interaction has come back with a bang. There's no doubt that there's been a huge exodus to people going to events, particularly over the last 12 months. There have been wall-to-wall business events, which have been phenomenally well supported. And that's as a direct consequence of people missing the human interaction of business. I'm supposed to do exactly what I'm doing right now, which is working online with it. And there's clearly truth to that. I think there's far more truth to that than the fact of number one being women miss going to having their hair done. I think that's a bit, but surveys are surveys. I think generations, I've just come off a call, a Zoom call with a group who have said that there is no doubt that Gen Zers have particularly suffered from the missing of social interaction, and it's affected their business, their personal life, and that's affected business life. Whether they've been running their own businesses, as I'm sure all of you know, that more and more Gen Zers are really keen to run their own businesses for all manner of reasons. There are umpteen statistics that show that, but they miss the whole social interaction side, and I think there's no doubt. There's no doubt that this lot, the ones that have been growing up over the last few years, have missed that even more so. And we will see in a few years' time the net result of that. What's that got to do with business? Well, a lot, particularly if you either have people that are involved in a business that serves the people I'm showing on the slide right now, or the previous slide, or the Gen Zers who are working into businesses currently. We all know the statistics still show that their viewpoint on business is very, very different. So how do you preserve tradition and build a legacy, as you know that the traditions potentially of people coming through as a new generation view the world very, very differently to perhaps those who have built a business who might be in their 40s, 50s, 60s, or 70s. Their viewpoints are quite different. So how do you get to a bottom line? How do you control that bottom line in a way that enables a business to move forward and preserve tradition and build a legacy and do it in a way that works for everybody? Well, for me, oh, I forgot this slide. Sorry, I forgot this slide. This was just gratuitous on my part. Okay, which was, I just love this picture. I forgot I'd put this picture in, which was that during lockdown and then when people got back to getting the kids to school, etc., we had a lot of parents who were very excited about the fact that their kids were back at school. Well, was that just you, Tracy? I don't know. Was it just you that felt like that? Okay. I should have put you on here instead, Tracy, shouldn't I? But I just love this picture because it's just, you can see the age ranges there of the difference of a little one who's just thinking it's funny, and the other two there who just think mum's funny, and yet the two older boys are thinking, oh my God, mum's really, really just showing me up, and I just think it's fantastic. But it illustrates the different viewpoints of different generations just in that slide alone. Don't you just think, or is that just me? Anyway, apparently that slide, that picture is one of the top 5 pictures in terms of likes during lockdown. Top 5 picture. Amazing. And I forgot to put that in, so my apologies. So what else did we learn? Well, we learned that working from home wasn't such a bad gig after all for many people. We learned that for many people, actually, they don't want to go back to crossing the bridge over in London there and going into the city. The city's still got something like an occupancy rate that's way down on what it was. And there are an awful lot of empty offices there currently, and it's true across the country. And although there is a lot of pressure to get people to come back to work, and it's not just Alan Sugar leaping up and down saying everybody's lazy, the reality is that people found a new way of working. They found the fact that being working mums could actually work a bit easier by working from home. We found other people that found that they could get a life working from home. So how do you preserve a tradition and build a legacy once we've gone through this process? And it's you know, you see some people going back as full-time working from offices, but an awful lot of people still aren't. And again, if you talk to agencies who are slotting people into jobs, the trend to still work from home is still considerable. It's backed off to a degree, but not a lot. So you're running a family business. How do you build a legacy and preserve tradition? Interesting, challenging time. And we're trying to make sense of all this as people, as individuals, as groups of people, as family businesses, as corporations, as non-for-profits, as for charities. We're all trying to find the way of how life is currently out in this big wide world of some things that are really not very nice happening, to crazy people, to, you know, can you say that these days? Probably not, but I've said it anyway. To people that are looking life in a very, very different way now. And we're trying to run our businesses, you know, and in our case, for the businesses here that I can see on screen, but I can also see in the chat box, the majority of people listening to this right now are in the counties of Herefordshire, Worcestershire, in the West Midlands. And we've all got our challenges, both locally, regionally, nationally, and internationally. So what do we do? How do we do it? Well, I know the three of you here won't be surprised that I'll be saying, of course, we recognize the business is tough, but we've got to go back to basics. And those basics are the 3 unwavering values to all family businesses. And these are Peter Roper's 3 unwavering values. And I know the 3 of you are going to say, I know what he's going to come out with. But actually, they are the key. They're the key to this. They're the key to your business, but they're also to the supplier relationships you have, to your client relationships that you have. And I'll reiterate them again and explain what I mean by it. So the first one is, well, there you go. You knew I was going to say it, didn't you? You know, it's about filling the fridge right now. It really is, because business conditions and trading conditions are tough. More people are battening down the hatches again at the back end of this year, in a way they were at the start of this year. Life got easier during the year, but there is no doubt there's a trend towards not making decisions at the minute, not taking business on, not doing the stuff perhaps that's necessary. And let's just see how all this stuff develops. And filling the fridge is harder. It's tougher. Those of you that know me know the story from Peter Roper's story about filling the fridge at the end of the day. When you start a family business, you start by putting one to put food on the table. As it expands, as it grows, you probably take people on into your business if you have that sort of business, and you fill their fridges as well. If you're not filling their fridges, maybe you're running your own business just as yourself. You know, Alan and Graham are your examples of that. You are filling the fridges of the people that you support, the clients that you work with. You fill their fridges. Something you do helps them fill their fridge. And it's worth remembering that at times. It's dead easy to have a relationship where you do some business, they pay you some money. Thank you very much. Let's fill my fridge. But actually, if you twist it around and think about it and say, well, how am I helping this person to fill their fridge? It's fascinating what comes out from that, and about having that conversation. You may be dealing with an employee inside a business. Well, guess what? You're helping to keep them in a job and help them to fill it. It may be you're dealing with a company and the person that owns that business, and you're helping them to retain the ability to fill their fridge, or the people they employ to fill their fridge. So it goes far wider than the first thought process. But filling the fridge is the fundamental with family businesses. If you're building a legacy and you're preserving tradition, it's to remember that's where the business came from, comes from now, and where it will come from in the future, not just for itself, for the people it serves, both as employees and also as clients and suppliers, for that matter. Which brings you to the next one, which is making decisions to help you sleep at night. It is at the moment about making decisions to help you sleep at night, because there's, you know, a number of people I know are having to make tough decisions at the minute, and it's about taking the time and trouble to make the right decisions where you know you're doing the right thing. And sometimes they're tough. Sometimes they're very tough. But if you're doing it for the right reasons, then that's okay. And the third one is working with people you know, like, and trust. And I've had seen an experience of this again very recently, personally, where working with the right people, where you know you're working with people you know, like, and trust, makes such a difference. Most of you know, I think, that are watching this right now, know that I co-authored a book during the summer called The Reputation Gap. And the reputation gap is all around reputation at the end of the day. And one of the key things that we talk about in the reputation gap, and if anybody wants to check out more about the reputation gap and the book itself, there's a QR code just to pick up on it. The reputation gap is about deciding, it is about making a decision, first of all, about working with people who you know, like, and trust, who are in the 8, 9s, and 10s. We all want to work with people who are a 9 or a 10. What's a 9 or a 10? They are people who are believe in you and what you do, appreciate what you do. All right. They're great to work with. They don't argue about the bill because they appreciate the whole effort that you work with. And they're the people we all want to work with. We want to work with people who appreciate us, who are great to work with and pay us what we're worth. And that's what the reputation gap is about. It's about that process. And fundamentally, working with people you know, like, and trust, it's the third core to a family business. If you're going to preserve tradition and build a legacy, it is about the unwavering values of a family business. It is about filling the fridge, sleeping at night, and working with people you know, like, and trust. And to me, that's the core, that's the key, that's the essence of working with or owning a family business. So when you're at the other end of the process, where you're saying, well, how do I preserve the tradition? Or you're in the middle of the process where you want to be building a legacy, you have to stay true to these 3 core values in terms of running the business. Understanding how to fill a fridge, understand how to fill the fridge of the people you employ, understand how to fill the fridge of the people you work with, make the right decisions the way you know you can sleep at night when you put your head on the pillow, and then work with people who are an 8, 9, or a 10, who are people you know, like, and trust, appreciate you for what you are, for what you do, and appreciate the amount of money that they pay for you is the right amount. It's a fair amount, and they pay you promptly, on time, because they know it's the right thing to do. And to me, that's about preserving a tradition and building a legacy. So I'm going to come off that for a second, bring you back. And I don't know if anyone wants to make some key thoughts on that. I've got some questions coming up here as well, which I'll pick up in a minute. But anybody, Alan, Tracy, Graham, any comments on that?
Yeah, there's certainly over the years, even in employment, there are people who you wish you'd never worked with. Yes, I think two characters. One in a business that I was in that I would have preferred to have not been in with, and then one of my customers who wanted 7 days work, which grew to 17 days. And then at the end, they didn't like what I'd done, and they wanted to pay me about 20% of what we'd agreed. Do I like them? They paid the right money in the end, because I said, pay the bill. But yeah.
But it was hard work.
Yeah, absolutely.
They didn't appreciate you. That's the problem.
Yeah.
They're not a 9 or a 10, are they?
No, I don't even know if they're on the scale.
No.
I must admit, I've been really gratified on many occasions where people I've done an audit for have not wanted to take my services because I was thinking I just didn't like them. Something about it when I've had the Zooms, and I just don't gel with you. Haven't really met them physically. I just didn't gel with them, and I wouldn't have turned the business down because I'll give everyone a chance. But when they did say, no, we don't want to do it for whatever reason, I was really, really grateful. And that continues to happen every now and then. And I can't say I'm more pleased about it.
What about you, Tracy?
As a business, our situation can be a little bit different because as well as the paid for clients, we do a lot of contract work. So if we've signed into a contract for X amount of time, it doesn't matter what they're like to work with, we have to make it work. Because at the end of the day, we all want to achieve whatever goals the project set out initially. It can be challenging at times. We just do our best to work around them.
Yeah, you in that situation, it's not so easy for you, is it?
No.
But on the other hand, at least you've gone in with your eyes open.
Yep.
I think that's the thing, isn't it? You recognise the fact. So I imagine that you price the contract accordingly to allow for that.
You don't actually get to meet the project team until after you've won the project.
So all right. So is that finger in the air job?
So yeah, normally with a tender process, you respond to the brief of whatever they're asking for. So you put in your offering and your costs to fulfil that project and submit it.
Yeah.
And then if you're lucky enough to win, you then get to meet the project manager and project team that you'll be working with.
Yeah.
So it's a bit of the unknown.
Have you ever been in a situation where you've met the team and thought, this is a no-no?
We have walked away on one project, yes.
Yeah, you did?
Yes. Yep.
Because of the people involved?
Because of their views with what they were trying to do, we didn't agree with how they were trying to change the project. So it wasn't what had been intended for.
Right, okay, I
we tried
understand.
to alter it, and we didn't think what they were trying to produce suited the intended audience.
So the pair of you just put your foot down and said, no, we're not doing it?
Yep.
Did you find that for those people that are watching this at the minute, the advantage we have is that the people on here are all family business practice members, so we all know each other. So what you won't know watching this is Tracy has a business partner. So there's two of you basically there. Did you have a conversation with each other? Did both of you agree it quite straightforwardly that you would walk away from it? Or was it one of those conversations where, how did that work for you?
It was quite unanimous after one of the project meetings. So we'd been in a 4-hour meeting and then we both came away with exactly the same views, luckily. But we're both ex-teachers, so we were both quite clear on why we thought what they were doing wouldn't work.
Yes. So that was fortunate.
We did try and advise and explain clearly why we didn't think what they were trying to do wouldn't work. But one person on that project team had got very specific ideas, which didn't match the original scope that we'd signed up to.
Which gave you the let out anyway?
Yes.
Yeah, that's good. Out of pure curiosity, I'm just being nosy now. Which is, did that project go ahead, and what happened to it? Do you know? It
was changed 3 or 4 times over before it was anywhere near released, and it switched from what was an e-learning project to let's put some content on a website. So it's very different.
So you were right to stay away from it.
Yes, I think we had a lucky escape.
There's a phrase there called smug mode, you know. But you see your instinct. But your instincts were right, though, weren't they? Your gut instinct was right, wasn't it? Yes, Graham.
Peter, I think there's I don't know in which of your 3 things this particular statement fits. I think it's an overall sort of thing, really. But I think when you're building a legacy and just trying to keep your reputation, up to full, there's one area that I think, certainly from what Tracy was saying, she noticed was if the client isn't willing to do what you know they need to do in order to achieve their targets, it's best just to walk away from them and say, I'd love to work with you, but if you're not willing to do A, B, and C, then my services are going to be rendered, worthless. And I have walked away from a number of people who have said they're not willing to do, or they've walked away when I've told them, basically, if you don't do A, B, and C, forget it. And if they're not willing to do it, then why spend their money unwilling, in an incorrect manner? And I think that's important about building your legacy by keeping your reputation up, by actually being really truthful with people and just saying, unless you do these things, I can't help you. As simple as that.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right, Graham. I think it'd be very tempting to take the money, but you know full well that your life's not going to be good anyway. It's not going to work anyway, and all you can do is fall out. Whereas at least if money hasn't changed hands, it's an easier walk away. And again, you're back to having made a decision where you sleep at night. Whereas if you decide to take the money, knowing I'm not sure this is going to work, there's a difference between I've got things I've got to do and I'm going to make sure they work, as opposed to I'm not sure if they're going to do what they need to do. In which case, I'm not going to be able to deliver. If I can't deliver, my reputation's at risk, which is exactly what the reputation gap is about. Which is you're working with somebody who's on a scale of 1, 2, 3, whatever. The point is they're not a 9 or a 10. Part of a 9 or a 10 is that you're aligned effectively. They want to do it. They've got the ability to do it. They've got the ability to do it. Now you're working together. Yippee! Everybody's happy. And because everybody's happy, they're great to work with, and they appreciate what you do. You appreciate them, and they pay you what you're worth. And it makes such a difference. All of a sudden, everybody's happier. So why wouldn't you look for that? But it's about remembering those. To me, fundamentally, it's about remembering those 3 key areas, which is filling the fridge of not just you. And it's one of the areas that people forget that I talk about. Which is, it's not just about you filling your fridge, or if you're employing people or you're responsible for people, that you're filling their fridges. You're filling the fridge of the people you're working for as well. Now, it might be an indirect, it might be an employee, but their fridge gets full because they retain a job and whatever money they get paid for it. And that's how they go to Asda or Sainsbury's or wherever they shop, right? If it's the person who owns their business, it's the same principle. They get it. And the more you work with that thought in process and actually share that with them and say, I know this is what we're going to do for you. This is the effect that it will have for you. Again, it makes this happen more, which is, to me, fundamental. So I just thought we would share this, on a live recording, and I think we're on in about 30 minutes now. And normally I try and keep this to about 30 minutes or so. We'll have a quick chat afterwards between us. But I would simply say, wherever you are in your business now, and the 4 of us here, we're in different stages of where we are with our business. It still remains the same, which is to build a legacy, whatever that legacy is that you want, where the position you are at the minute, and preserve it, no matter how others are involved in it. You have to look at the core values of what your business is, and I think fundamentally it then drops down into these 3 absolute cores, which is fill the fridge, sleep at night, know, like, and trust. So for the 3 of you, thank you. I'm going to end this stream now. We'll chat. We'll stay online and chat to each other afterwards. But for everybody who's watching the stream now, hope you found this useful. I will just quickly put this up as well, which is a QR code for the scorecard that I operate, which takes 90 seconds. If you click onto that, you can take a 90-second scorecard with 14 different questions for you to think about how your business is working. Is it where you want it to really be? It's free, it costs nothing. And if you want to chat with me about that afterwards, you're very welcome to. I'm quite happy to spend half an hour with anybody on Zoom and just chat about their business and how we can perhaps help them. Hope that you find that useful. But in the meantime, thanks everybody. I'll end this stream for now. Alan, I'll make sure you get the link because I can see you trying to use your phone. But for now, everybody with that, we'll stay online anyway, but I'll end stream now for everybody that's watching it. Thank you.